Okay, Chevre, let's try and learn another Mishnah today. In Sanhedrin, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Beis. So the Mishnah continues to discuss how many dayanim, how many judges are needed in various cases. So the Mishnah begins by saying, Makos b'shloisha, any averos, any crimes that carry the punishment of malchus, of lashes, are judged by a court of three. We know that being over a loisase, violating a biblical prohibition, a mitzvah loisase, is generally punishable by malchus. We learned this in Maseches Malchus Perek Gimel, Mishnah Yud and on there. So the Tanakama says malchus b'shloisha, that any violation of mitzvah loisase that come along with the punishment of malchus are judged by a court of three. Mishum Rabbi Shmuel Amru, but in the name of Rabbi Shmuel, they said, Be'esr v'shloisha, that violation of mitzvah loisase, the violations of crimes that require malchus, are not judged by a court of three, but by a court of 23. And this explains the Rav, derived from the fact that the Torah says that cases of capital punishment, that any case that requires, that any case that potentially could end up with a capital punishment, with the oynish of Misa, definitely and absolutely requires a court, a bezid of 23. So Rabbi Shmuel holds that the same is true of crimes that are punishable by malchus. That malchus, in a way, is like a mini Misa, or could be the beginning of Misa. So Rabbi Shmuel says that malchus is just like, malchus requires a bezid of 23, just like a case that could absolutely end up with capital punishment. The Rav explains to us, look at the Rav B'shloisha, the Chsiv, it says in Dvorim, V'nikshu el ha-mishpat u'shfatum. V'nikshu el ha-mishpat u'shfatum. Who is shfatum? Shfatum is Loshen Rabim, Shnayim. But there is no Bezdin Shokol. Ve'en Bezdin Shokol. There's no such thing as having, in Jewish law, a court of two. So therefore, Mosifim Aleim Oidecha. Therefore, you have to add one. There's no Bezdin Shokol. There's no Bezdin of equal numbers. Therefore, you have to add one. Are Kan Shaloisha. And Rabbi Shmuel Oimer says the Rav Be'esel v'shloisha, because we learn Gzera Shava, Osya Rosha Rosha, Ksiv Hocha v'yirshiu es HaRosha, Uksiv Hocha mit Bamidbar, Asher Hu Rosha Lomus. Over there in Bamidbar, Asher Hu Rosha Lomus, he's going to get an Onish of Misa, Malahal and Be'esel v'shloisha, just like there it's absolutely without a doubt the Bezdin of 23 because it's capital punishment. Afkan, says Rabbi Shmuel, is also Be'esel v'shloisha. So according to Rabbi Shmuel, Esel v'shloisha is applicable to a case of malchus, just like a case of capital punishment. We of course do not paskin like Rabbi Shmuel. We paskin like the Tanakama, malchus v'shloisha. Then the Mishnah continues. Ibur achoidesh b'shloisha, ibur ashona b'shloisha. Diver Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says that ibur achoidesh. What is ibur achoidesh? Let's give it a little bit of background, okay? Important yedis, as I said yesterday. I said earlier today. There are a lot of important yedis, fundamental, basic information in Torah that we cover in Maseches Sanhedrin. So what is Ibur HaChodesh and what is Ibur HaShana? Now we know that the months of the Jewish calendar are based on the lunar cycle, right? We're Mekadesh the Chodesh every month. We're Mekadesh the Chodesh based on the Re'iyah of the moon. So the months of the Jewish calendar are based on the lunar cycle, in which each revolution of the moon around the earth is a month, is a chodesh. However, one revolution takes about 29 and a half days, whereas a month must be full days. Full days. So it's necessary, therefore, to make some months 29 days and other months 30 days. Now, the length of each month in earlier times did not follow a fixed calendar like we have today, but was determined on a month by month basis by Adim who came and testified that they saw a new moon. If witnesses testify on the 30th day of the current month that they saw the new moon the previous night, so then the Bezdin is Mekadesh, the Bezdin sanctifies that day as Rosh Chodesh. That is, that the first day of the incoming month is here and now. If witnesses do not testify on the 30th day, so then the next day, which is the 31st day, automatically becomes Rosh Chodesh without any involvement or decision by the Bezdin. So the Mishnah teaches us here that 3 Dayonim are needed to accept the witness's testimony and to perform the sanctification ceremony. And this is what we learn all about in the beginning of Masechet Rosh Hashanah. So the truth of the matter is that the word Ibur, which is going to be used in a minute in terms of Ibur Hashanah, making something a leap year, is Ibur Hashanah. So here, that word, the word in terms of Chodesh, the word Ibur is not really needed. That's what the Rav says right away. Ibur HaChodesh is Kiddush HaChodesh. We're talking about being Mekadesh the Chodesh. Being Mekadesh the Chodesh, either based on the testimony and the Agodas Eidus of the witnesses who come and say they saw a new moon, and if they don't come, so then the 31st day automatically becomes Rosh Chodesh. So in terms of the Chodesh, our real focus here is not Ibur, but rather Kiddush. But since the next statement about Ibur Hashanah, that does require the word Ibur, therefore we use the word Ibur consistently, both in terms of Ibur HaChodesh and as well as Ibur Hashanah. So in order to be Mekadosh the Chodesh, in order to pronounce the fact that it is now a new Chodesh, for that you need a Bezdin of Gimel, a Bezdin of 3. See, so I'm going to repeat this again because it's an important point to remember this Mishnah. That the Mishnah says Ibur HaChodesh, which literally means to add on to make it a leap year, which literally means the addition of a 30th day to the Chodesh, in which case Rosh Chodesh is delayed until the 31st day. Now this, however, happens automatically if no witnesses testify on the 30th day. If no witnesses testify on the 30th day. So then the court is not involved. Clearly then, the Mishnah does not refer to this situation, but rather to Kiddush HaChodesh. Kiddush HaChodesh, to sanctify the new month, where the Bezdin actively declares the 30th day as Rosh Chodesh, and they announce Mekudash, 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 as we learned in the beginning of Masechet Rosh Hashanah. So Ibur HaChodesh B'Shloisha, and Ibur Hashanah is also B'Shloisha Divrei Rabbi Meir. What is Ibur Hashanah? So Ibur Hashanah, we explained that the months of the Jewish calendar follow the cycle of the moon. However, as far as the length of the year is concerned, the cycle of the sun is also included in the calculations. This is because a lunar year following the moon, that is 12 revolutions of the moon, is about 11 days shorter than a solar year, than that following the sun. which means one revolution of the Earth around the sun. And therefore, if there's no adjustment made between the lunar and the solar, if there's no adjustment, then the lunar year would fall behind by 11 days every solar year. So over time, the Yomim Tovim, which have to come out at specific times of the year, the Yomim Tovim, which fall on particular dates of the lunar months, would gradually shift to different seasons. They would get all whacked out of shape, whacked out of its specific time frame. And the specific time frame need to be based on the cycle of the moon. So such a shift, such a whacked up calendar is unacceptable, because the Torah tells us specifically in regard to Pesach that it needs to be Chodesh Aviv. Chodesh Aviv, the Chodesh of the springtime. It must fall out in the springtime. Look up the pasuk in Devarim, chapter 16, pasuk 1. Look over there where the Torah says Chodesh Aviv. So in order to prevent this shift from happening every few years, so therefore the Beis Din has the right to add an extra month of Adar Sheni, which then makes this into a leap year, into a Shona Meuberes, an Iber. The Jewish leap year contains an extra month, not merely an extra day. So in this way, the Beis Din enabled the lunar months and the Yomim Tovim to catch up with the solar year, and therefore the Yomim Tovim will come out in the proper times. So that's the Shitas Rab Meir. Ibur HaChodesh B'Shloisha, Ibur HaShona B'Shloisha, Divrei Rab Meir. Now comes along Rabbi Gamliel and introduces something in contradistinction to Rab Meir. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says that the decision to add a month to the year is made in 3 stages. It is not just one psak din of Beis Din. It's made in 3 stages, says Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. B'shloisha matchilim. They begin considering the matter as to whether or not to make this into an Iber, into a Shona Meuberes, with 3 dayonim. Ubechamisha noisin v'noisnin. If 2 of them are in favor of adding a month, so 2 more judges, 2 more dayonim will join them, and they discuss it further with all 5 judges. Now, however, if 2 of the 3 do not want to add a month, so then the discussion stops right here and there. If the rov of the 3, if 2 out of the 3 say, no, there's no reason to add a month, and they give their credible explanation, then the discussion stops. And the year does not become a Shona Meuberes. Okay? So b'shloisha maschilim, they begin the matter with 3 dayonim. Ubechamisha noisim v'noisnin, if 2 of them are in favor of adding a month, 2 more dayonim join them, and they discuss it further with the 5 judges. And the goimrim b'shiva, if most of these 5 are in favor of adding a month, so then 2 more dayonim are added, and they conclude the final psak din with 7 dayonim, with 7 judges. That is, the 7 dayonim announce that it is a leap year. That is the Shitas of Shimon ben Gamliel. Again, we pass it according to Rab Meir. But just before we end, there's a very beautiful explanation in the Mefarshim, in the Tosfos Yontif specifically, as to why Rabbi Shimon Gamliel came up with this formula that we start with 3, the discussion continues with 5, and we finalize the psak din if it's going to be an iboyo with 7. What is this 3, 5, 7? It's a very beautiful idea to remember, guys. The number of dayonim in the 3 stages, according to Rav Shimon Gamliel, is 3, 5, and 7. Where does he get this from? So the Tosfos Yontif says the 3, 5, and 7 match the number of words in each of the 3 psukim of the very beautiful, the very wonderful, the very important Birchas Koyanim. Birchas Koyanim has 3 psukim. Yivarecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Yoir Hashem panav alecha v'yichoneka, Isa Hashem panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. 3 psukim. So says the Tosfos Yontif. That the 3, 5, and 7 of Rav Shimon Gamliel's Shita is based on the Birchas Koyanim, again, which we find in Sefer Bamidbar, Parshas Nosoi, Perek Vav, Psukim Chav Daled, Chav Hey, and Chavav. So the first bracha of Birchas Koyanim has 3 words. Yevarecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. The second pasuk has 5 words. Yoer Hashem panav elecha v'yichuneka. And the third pasuk of Birkas Koyanim has 7 words. Yiso Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Yes, you can find that in the Rav. So the Tosfos Yontif says that the Rav Shimon Gamliel wanted to link the declaration of an Iboyo, of a leap year, to the ultimate bracha that we find in the Torah, the Birkas Koyanim. He wanted to link the declaration of a leap year with the Birkas Koyanim in order to bring down the Rebbeinu Shalom's bracha, the Rebbeinu Shalom's divine blessing upon their complex calculations. It's a very, very difficult, involved, complicated issue in halacha to come to an ultimate psak that we make an iboyo. Okay, we today we just look in the calendar. We look in the luach and we find, okay, this year is going to be a leap year, and we're going to have another Sheni and Shalom Al Yisrael. But before there was a set calendar, of Hillel HaZaken, so the Bezdin had to sit and really, really get into Hilchos Kiddush HaChodesh, which if you look up in the Rambam, are parokim that are so involved with science, with astronomy, with the understanding of the relationships of the sun and the moon, etc., etc. And therefore, Rav Shimon Gamliel came along and said 3, 5, and 7 to coordinate with the Birchas Koyanim, which they wanted to invoke into their difficult, complex issue of Kiddush HaChodesh. Okay,